Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. So we finally got it. The announcement of Marathon Digital's brand new facility to house 100% of all the miners that they had already purchased. I've been waiting a long time for this announcement and it's finally here. So we're going to get into the details on this, and as much as we can anyways. The SEC filings have yet to be submitted, but I'll give my thoughts on this and where we might see this headed next. New data center to house approximately 73,000 of Marathon's Bitcoin miners, transitioning the company's mining operations to 70% carbon neutral. Marathon Digital Holdings, one of the largest enterprise Bitcoin self-mining companies in North America, has entered into a binding letter of intent with Compute North to host approximately 73,000 of Marathon's previously purchased Bitcoin miners as part of a new 300 megawatt data center located in Texas. So, interestingly enough, Texas does appear to be the location of choice for much of these new Bitcoin mining data centers. 300 megawatts is substantial. The current Hardin facility maxes out at 105 megawatts. For perspective, under the terms of the agreement and based on specific requirements being met, Marathon will provide Compute North with a 18-month bridge loan of up to $67 million in tranches to construct the facility. The initial term of the contract is 3 years, with increases capped at 3% per year thereafter. Implementation is planned to take place in stages between October 2021 and March 2022. So, as they've previously disclosed or previously claimed, they do have a plan in place to have 100% of those Bitcoin miners fully deployed by the end of the first quarter of 2022. Now, the full details of this agreement, as I mentioned, are not yet available. I do intend to do a video on that more in depth once that document is made available to us. But what I can say is Compute North is a long-standing partner of Marathon Digital's. They were their former co-hosting partner for the first facility that Marathon had. Once all of Marathon's miners are installed, the company's hash rate will be approximately 10.37 exahash per second. The company's average mining cost for hosting services, electricity, data center management, and hosting-related capital expenditures across all its facilities will be 4.53 cents per kilowatt hour. And Marathon's operations will be approximately 70% carbon neutral. So it's not entirely clear what the source of this electricity is, but from this we can see that it is from renewable resources, probably a combination of wind, solar, and hydro. Compute North is a long-term partner of ours, and by expanding our working relationship with them through this new agreement, we have now secured economical hosting arrangements for all 103,120 of our previously purchased Bitcoin miners, said Fred Thiel, Marathon's CEO. This agreement sets us on a clear path to become one of the largest, most efficient, and most environmentally conscious Bitcoin miners in North America. Additionally, the structure of this agreement is highly advantageous as it allows us to have the necessary infrastructure for our miners built without the capital expenditure, and it provides us with the flexibility to explore alternative locations, should we require them, while mitigating the risk of price increases. You can certainly go on the website and read the rest of the press release if you haven't done so already. But what's important here is that we now have a clear path towards fully deploying all of those Bitcoin miners. And as I've pointed out before, the pace at which these miners are going to be arriving is going to accelerate into the fall of 2021. The bulk of these miners are going to be arriving at the end of this year, following into the beginning of 2022. Currently, the company's receiving approximately 2,000 to 3,000 miners every single month, but that number is going to rise to as much as 25,000 in a single month at the end of the year. For those keeping track, as of May 1st, the entire fleet consisted of only 12,000 miners. So in a single month, it will be receiving twice what it currently has fully deployed, which of course, as far as hash rate is concerned, will put it at approximately 2.6 exahash growth in 1 month. These numbers are going to be staggering, which is why it was so important that this deal get done. And judging by the reaction of the market when this news was revealed on Monday morning, the market certainly doesn't seem to appreciate this accomplishment. But as always, for me, it's just simply always been a numbers game. Who has the most hash rate with the lowest price? In the end, it will come down to that. Yes, ESG considerations are important. Yes, I do believe Marathon and all other Bitcoin mining companies, and hell, any company as far as I'm concerned that has industrial scale operations and impacts the environment has a responsibility to address these issues. This isn't limited to Bitcoin mining companies. For whatever reason, currently all the heat is on them, both literally and figuratively. But the reason, despite all of those things, that I have personally chosen to invest in a company like Marathon is when it comes to the investment, when it comes down to the dollars, what's going to matter is the price of Bitcoin, how much hash power you got, and how much you're paying for electricity. But obviously for some, this is just not going to be enough. I look at things in a more practical sense, and I acknowledge that the fact of the matter is coal still forms a significant part of our economy and the grid at large. I don't have a problem with phasing it out, but I also recognize that that is going to take time. And some of these other technologies need to catch up. And Bitcoin is going to help make that happen. Using energy produced from burning coal is no better or no worse than powering your Tesla from power sourced from coal facilities. It's an open market. But if Bitcoin's got to be the one to lead the way, then so be it. But I would have much rather seen them take the opportunity to scale up their operations quickly than sit on the sidelines waiting for just the right opportunity to come their way. Shutting down this one coal power facility in Hardin, Montana is hardly going to make that much of a difference. But collectively, I do agree that as a society, we have to phase these things out. But the reality is, it's just going to take some time. But as we can see, there is a slight difference in the amount of power consumed because the aggregate power rate that they were getting at the Hardin facility was around 3.6 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's gone up by a little over 1 penny. Now, clearly, for the benefit of using renewable energy, I would say that that 1 cent is definitely worth it. And so long as they can attain rates as good as that, then they've got a winning strategy here. And they were also careful enough to make sure that those rates can't rise on them unexpectedly. This is what has happened to many Bitcoin mining outfits in the past. This is what led to a lot of them being unsuccessful, especially during bear markets. There was one thing that I got from this that I wasn't particularly a fan of, but it'll do for now, and that's the capacity of this new facility is basically sized just big enough to house all the existing miners they currently have on order. There's no surplus. There's no room for future expansion. So I'm not sure what that means for the next phase of Marathon's growth, but I have no doubt that they are working on what could potentially come after this. But the reality is the company, as of that point, is going to have an installed power capacity of over 400 megawatts. This is a staggering number. And as more and more of these other miners increase their hash power, what we will see is a dramatic shift in the balance of hash power on the network, shifting away from China to other parts of the world, namely North America, where most of these miners, these publicly traded miners, have set up shop. And they're not the only ones. There are plenty of other private companies as well. And with the narrative around Bitcoin and China, actually finally sending a lot of those operators out of that country, that will finally be the FUD that people won't be able to point to. And then next time China decides to ban Bitcoin, no one's going to care. That's all for this one. Now let's get back to empire building.